We've had several claims in recent years about indications of life on exoplanets. Now astronomers at the extremely large telescope in Chile say they may have found the strongest evidence yet. However, all is not what it seems, and some people wonder if what they are seeing is evidence of microbial life seeded from Earth. Norma 3 Tau is a Mercury-sized planet, orbiting a small star in the Norma constellation 17 light-years from Earth. Its star is an M7 dwarf star, the coolest and smallest of all types of stars, and until recently nobody thought they might be likely candidates to host life on their exoplanets. The stars give so little energy that any planets that would be near enough to them to receive enough energy to support life would be tidally locked. Like our moon, one side would permanently face the star, the other permanently face away. It is thought that this would make one side hugely hot and uninhabitable for life and the other a frozen wasteland. Though there might be a zone between the two that could support life, it was thought the weather conditions and winds this type of planet would create would effectively rule out these zones for life too. Then the evidence started to mount up that that wasn't the case. It seemed some of these worlds had water and their oceans would not be subjected to the weather conditions that were thought to rule out life on the surface. Now, a combination of data from the James Webb Space Telescope and the extremely large telescope in Chile seems to indicate Norma 3 Tau has evidence of life. However, like other claims in recent years, there is controversy over whether this can truly be called definitive, and some people even wonder if it is life from Earth and not truly extraterrestrial at all. I spoke to the German astronomer Diana Swartgeiser, who was involved in collecting this data in Chile, and asked her about the new discovery. Hi Diana, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Could I ask you to give a simple explanation for why astronomers believe this may be evidence of microbial life?
Absolutely, and thanks for interviewing me. The reason we think this is evidence for life is because we know the planet is in the star's temperate Goldilocks zone, which means it can support liquid water. Furthermore, we know it has liquid water. We know it has complex carbon molecules, which correlates with life on our planet. And finally, we see evidence of oxygen. Putting all of these together, this gives us a high probability that this is evidence of microbial life.
Diana, you say high probability, but can you be 100% sure?
To be honest, no, not until we go there. And we are a long way away from having the technology to travel ships in light years. However, we know enough about chemistry to know the presence of oxygen is very hard to explain by other means.
Can you tell us why is that?
It's because oxygen is so reactive. We only have so much of it in our atmosphere, because plants produce it via photosynthesis. If our life on Earth ended tomorrow, all the oxygen would be oxidized within a few hundred years. There would be none left in the atmosphere. So when we see evidence of free oxygen on other planets, we assume the same is going on. Because it's oxidized so quickly, something must be producing this oxygen. Because we cannot think about any geological process that would be continuously doing this. The obvious candidate is to think it is life like ours on Earth.
Why is there some controversy about claims that this may be life seeded from Earth rather than extraterrestrial life?
Well, I wouldn't call it a controversy. I think it's a very reasonable question to ask. We know that soil from planets is constantly ejected from the surface out into space through asteroid impacts. For example, that is how samples of rock from Mars have got to Earth. Furthermore, tiny rocks and dust, and so forth, don't just travel around solar systems, they also get to travel around the galaxy. In fact, we think there is dust from other parts of the galaxy that has landed on Earth's surface many, many times. So it is quite possible the reverse happens. Dust from Earth may have made it as far as the Norma constellation. As we know, bacteria can survive in a dormant state for a long time. When frozen, it's possible this dust had Earth bacteria, and then when it found a warm, wet home on this planet, it started to reproduce there, and has been doing so ever since. So just because we see evidence of life, that does not mean it's evidence of life that has independently arisen there. Of course, that begs another question. What if life on our planet was seeded from somewhere else? Originally, no one knows. It's quite possible too.
That's an interesting thought, Diana. So what next for this discovery? Do you think you will be able to be any more definitive about this?
Yes, I do. Now that we have found this evidence, we are going to spend a lot more time looking very closely at Norma 3 Tau. I would expect that if we find evidence for more complex carbon molecules, ones that it is very hard for any geologic or non-organic process to make, then I think we will be nearer, or as near as we can be to our answer without going there.